Hey guys, it's Daniel with Boss C 351 Productions. Today we're going to work on my 2013 Ford F-150 with the 3.5 Ecoboost engine. Now this truck just turned over 100,000 miles this week while I was driving back and forth from work. And now it is time to go ahead and change the coolant in the cooling system. It is becoming winter time around here and I want to make sure my truck is fully protected. Now this truck came with originally the orange coolant, the orange Motorcraft coolant. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to drain all of it out, or the majority of it out. We're going to see how much we can get out, and then we're going to replace the coolant with the new Motorcraft yellow coolant that they came out with. Now this new Motorcraft coolant is supposed to be better coolant, it's supposed to be better for your water pump, and it's also supposed to be better for corrosion in your cooling system. Now what we're going to do is first we're going to drain out the coolant from the radiator using the radiator petcock. Once we get it out, we're going to see how much we have out. Then I'm going to go to the back of the truck and I'm going to jack up the back of the truck as high as I can get it and see if we can get any more coolant out. Once I do that, then I'm going to go to the radiator overflow, remove the cap, and then I'm going to apply a little air pressure to that overflow and see if we can get anything else out. Once we're done with that, I'm going to try to measure close to what it is that we have out of the system. That way I'll know how much to pour back into it to replace what we took out. So let's go ahead and get this started. Now, according to the owner's manual for my 2013 F-150, the cooling system only holds 16.5 quarts. So that's just a little bit over 4 gallons. So let's see what we get out so we'll know what we need to replace. Now to start out, I got 2 5-gallon buckets to drain the coolant in, plus I've got 4 foot of 5/16 hose to drain the coolant through. Now on the bottom right side of the radiator is your drain petcock, and on it, it has a little port where you plug in the hose to drain the coolant out. Also, you want to turn your wheels all the way to the right so you can better access the bottom portion of the radiator that has the drain petcock. Now looking up through the bottom of the wheel well, you will see the drain petcock, and this is the little nipple right here I have my finger on where you will attach your hose. Now once you have your hose attached and you have your hose ran to your bucket, all you do is turn this red knob to the left and it will begin to drain the coolant out of the radiator. Now once we begin to get the coolant to drain into our bucket, we're going to go up here to the engine compartment and we're going to take off the cap off the coolant reservoir to promote draining into our bucket. And you should see it start filling the bucket up pretty rapidly. Now it's sat here and drained for about 5 minutes, and you can see it's still trickling a little bit. Now we got about 1.5 gallons of fluid out of the cooling system. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go jack up the back of the truck and see if we can get any more production out of the cooling system. Now I've got the back of the truck raised up. The tires are 11 inches higher off the ground than normal. We come up here to our bucket. It drained a little bit more out, but not very much more. You see it's still trickling somewhat. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to blow through the cooling system with some air and see if we can get any more out. Now, using all of these methods, we were able to drain 1 3/4 gallons out of the cooling system and the engine. Now, that is about 7 quarts. So now we're going to go ahead and mix our Motorcraft yellow concentrate coolant with 1 gallon of distilled water. That way you'll have 2 full gallons of coolant. You won't have to use all of it, so you'll take the extra coolant left over and pour it back into the Motorcraft jug. Just be sure to mark through concentrated and write on there pre-mix instead, so you won't use it and mix it up and dilute it even further. Don't forget to remove your drain hose and go ahead and tighten the drain petcock on your radiator. And pour your old coolant in a bucket and have it recycled. So now we need 2 gallons of coolant. We're going to take our premix. We're going to poke a hole in the aluminum safety seal, and we're going to pour all of our coolant in a clean bucket. Make sure there's no material in the bucket before you do this. You don't want to contaminate your system or your new coolant. Now we're going to take our jug of distilled water and we're going to pour it in and mix it with our new coolant. Effectively, this makes it a 50-50 mix. Now I'm going to pour carefully the first gallon out of the bucket back into the bottle so I can easily pour it back in the truck. Next, I'm going to add the funnel to the coolant reservoir and start pouring coolant back in the system. Now I'm going to repeat the process for the second gallon of coolant. And now I'm adding the second gallon. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it up to the cold fill mark on the reservoir. It is just right here on the reservoir on the front right side. Now I've got it up to the cold fill mark, and I'm going to go ahead and start the truck and let it start cycling the coolant. Now while it's cycling coolant, make sure your heater is on full on the heat setting. Watch your coolant level on the coolant reservoir. Make sure it does not empty. Right now it's staying pretty much where we left it. And here's a better angle where you can see the fluid level, and there's the cold fill mark. And all we're doing is we're going to wait until the vehicle heats up and the thermostat opens and the coolant starts cycling through the system and getting all the air bubbles out. Now that the vehicle's heated up, you see the coolant level has gone up. So what we're going to do is we're going to cap off our system and we're going to go and take the vehicle for a road test. And we're going to drive it several miles just to get it to operating temperature. Then we're going to come back and make sure we have no leaks at the petcock or anywhere else. Then we're also going to check the fluid level. Now, having gone and performed a road test, you can see that the coolant level has gone down somewhat. That's fine. It's still within operating range. Now, as easy and cheap as this is to perform, I really don't mind that I didn't get but about half of the fluid out of the system and replace it with good fluid. I can do this again 2 or 3 months down the road once it's had time to circulate in the system. It's, you know, I've got the gallon of Motorcraft concentrate for about $20 a gallon, and the distilled water is about 50 cents a gallon. So like I said, it's relatively cheap versus going to the Ford dealership, having to wait on the dealership to do a full flush, which costs around $300. Now, if you do find some material in your cooling system when you drain it, especially if it's not the correct color, or if someone has added in a different type of coolant that is not compatible with the OEM coolant or the Ford coolant that you had in the vehicle, then yes, you're going to have to pay Ford to fully flush the system out and add all new coolant. Once again, this is Daniel with Boss C 351's Productions. I want to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to my channel and liked my videos. Now, I'm approaching 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is the requirement to remonetize my channel. And I've got a few more things up and coming on this truck, which includes the exhaust manifolds on the truck that have warped at about 80,000 miles. So in the next couple of months, watch for that video. I want to thank everyone for their gracious comments on some of my videos. I do what I can to try to help each and every one of you with the problems that I run into on various vehicles. So there may be a couple of more here later down the road if we have any additional problems with the vehicles. Also, down in the description of the video, check out the parts I have listed. Now, I put those parts down there, one, because I do make a little bit of money off of you clicking on the link, but two, those parts that I list there are probably cheaper than any of the parts that you can find at your local parts house, up to including your local Ford dealership. Again, I appreciate you watching my videos, and I'll see you next time.